The African American Legend series highlights the accomplishments of blacks in areas as varied as politics, sports, aviation, business, literature, education, and religion. We'll explore how African Americans have succeeded in areas where they'd been previously excluded because of segregation, racism, and lack of opportunity. I'm your host, Dr. Roscoe C. Brown, Jr., and with us today is Eleanor Tatum, publisher of the famed New York Amsterdam News. How you doing, Ellie?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, this is the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Amsterdam News. You were around then, and neither was I, but let's talk about how it got founded, who were the founders, how it developed over these years from 1909.
Yes, it was founded in December of 1909, and it was founded by a gentleman named James Anderson, who in his apartment with his wife, her dressmaker's table, 4 sheets of paper, and a pencil, started the newspaper on 65th Street and Amsterdam Avenue. So
that was where black folks used to live at that time.
Yeah, it was the San Juan
Hill district.
The San Juan Hill section, which was actually raised to create Lincoln Center.
Mm-hmm.
So it was founded in 1909, and very quickly it moved up to Harlem, to 135th Street. And it has been in Harlem ever since. So since, the teens, it has been in Harlem. And it started as this, 4 sheets of paper. It was a broadsheet, and it just grew and grew. It was founded the same year that the NAACP was. So if you look at the years of 1909, 1910, 1911, there was so much happening within the black community here in New York and around the country.
Now, the original black newspapers, going back to Freedom's Word and John Rushworm back in the 19th century, were to alert black people to things that were happening to them and how they could mobilize themselves to fight racism and to fight discrimination. And that was particularly around 1909 when the NAACP was founded. So then, as the paper began to evolve, I asked you before if you had any copies of the original paper. Well, paper falls apart, you don't have those. The first copies you actually have on microfilm from 1922.
Correct, yes.
Now, what was happening in 1922 other than the fact that I was born then?
Well, that was the most important thing that happened in 1922 is the fact that you were born.
That's for sure.
But I wanted to go back to John Rushworm for a moment and Freedom's Journal, because their first editorial that was on the front page of their newspaper said, "We choose to plead our own cause. For too long have others spoken for us." Mm-hmm. And what that says, that's the mantra of all black newspapers today. It is talking about the community, for the community, from the community's perspective. Because still today, others are still speaking for the black community. We leaders are anointed in our community and not elected from our community. And if you and I both know that the true leaders of our community are not necessarily people that are the talking heads out there.
Certainly, I cannot imagine what New York would have been like without the Amsterdam News. To have a paper that covered the side of New York that was so ignored and now has become dominant, in large part because of the 105-year history of this paper. But it's an activist paper, it's an advocacy paper. It has stood up not only for fair and impartial journalism, but stood up for the rights of its readers. And covered people, Hazel will tell you, that would have been ignored. I tell people all the time that I used to get to Amsterdam every Thursday to find out if I died because it wouldn't have made the other papers. That is how endearing this paper has been to us. But I want to also say that we salute these honorees who, in the 105th anniversary, they've been personally and specifically selected, because to be honored by the Amsterdam is to mean that you uphold the legacy of speaking truth to power and standing up for something that is meaningful. And that is embodied by the honorees chosen tonight.